When I started going to the gym, I thought the hardest part would be to lose weight, to lose fat. But instead, over time, I realized that the real challenge is actually putting on muscles. And unfortunately, the science confirms it. In fact, there are decades of researches that show that building muscle is basically a slow and very difficult process. And for my own experience, personal and with my clients, unfortunately, I can tell that is true. So if you train for months, eating well, but still feel like your physique barely changes, well, you're not alone. And this is probably the reality that most lifters face. But the good news is that there are specific factors that consistently drive muscle growth, and if you focus on them, you will achieve what you want. And in this video, I want to break it down all the main ones in order that you can understand what to do in order to progress in your journey. So, what are the key factors for muscle growth? You know, in this channel I talk a lot about weight loss, dieting and this kind of stuff because this was my main point the whole life. But once I achieved like a very good results in terms of weight loss, I faced the challenge of muscle growth. And today I recover some of my old notes and I put together, and I will explain to you everything you need to know in order to achieve what you want, so muscle growth. In terms of muscle growth, one of the most important factors is definitely the progressive overload. Why? Because if the weight doesn't go up, basically, neither will your muscles. Why? Because basically our body is facing kind of a challenge. And we need to increase over time the challenge in order to force our body to adapt. This is so important because we need always to push a bit further. This doesn't mean just to increase the weight. We can increase the reps or the intensity. Why? Because maybe you can consider some people that lift like the body weight, like calisthenics people. They don't lift specifically weights, but they consider always the same body weight, but they can increase the amount of reps or the intensity. That means how closer they are to the failure, for example, and how they can do that. For example, reducing the rest time, or basically they can do that increasing the time under tension, so slower and longer reps, for example. But the important thing is over time to have a progressive overload. And what about the training volume intensity? Yes, this is science-based, the most important thing, because basically we need to have like a specific volume and intensity in order to grow our muscles. And this is based on sets multiplied by the reps multiplied by the weight that we lift. Too low means no growth, because basically our body doesn't need to adapt to anything. If it's too high though, it leads to burnout because it's too much. We need like to do a progressive overload that is challenging for us, not too much. This doesn't mean that it's better if you go over and over and over. That's why you need to control the reps in the proper way. The sweet spot though is usually between 10 and 20 working sets per muscle per week. But of course it can vary depending on your experience and other stuff. But we will talk about the specific training factors later on. Then we have the nutritional factors and the protein amount. Okay, so talking about nutrition, calories wise, you need a little surplus in order to grow. That is around 200 or 400 calories a day. Why? Because basically our body can grow the muscle in a very slow rate. So it doesn't matter if you put like 4,000 calories of surplus a day. You will not gain more muscle, you will just gain more fat. And I know you see so many people doing like dirty bulk, like eating lots of calories, but they just gain more fat because your muscle growth is just basically the same. So don't focus on dirty bulk, just control the amount of calories that you use in your surplus. And I know even this one, even the protein amount looks like misconception about the muscle growth, because you think that more protein are required in order to increase the muscle growth, but this is not true at all. The protein are actually more important in the cut phase when you lose weight, because they protect the muscle. But in terms of muscle growth, the protein amount needs to be like, I would say on the average, so between 1.6 2.2 grams for kg of body weight. What's more important definitely is the carbohydrate amount, because they are literally the fuel that make you push more, and the fats amount that basically will improve or will balance your hormones, and the hormones will lead to a better growth, let's say. So focus on those two, keeping the protein amount in a medium range, plus with always the same amount of surplus. So remember, the most important thing: calorie surplus, little; protein, medium; carbs and fats, depending how you prefer. These are the most important thing to regulate, so don't cut them. Then recovery and sleep. So this is so important, because basically you probably have heard about the fact that muscle is not built in the gym, but when you rest. Well, actually this is not true, because you will smash the muscle in the gym in order to make them grow. Yeah, but the thing is that this quote is due to the fact that if you don't sleep, your muscle will not recover, then you will not grow. So aim for 7 to 9 hours every night. So rest days aren't lazy days. They are very important in order to recover. And consistency and patience is probably the most important thing, because, well, it's a long, boring process. And don't miss any weeks, because basically, compared to the weight loss, if you miss a week, yeah, you can recover later on. Doesn't matter. Actually, there are the diet break weeks, where you skip like your diet for a couple of weeks in order to rebalance your hormones. And that one is a good way, actually. But instead, what you want to do is like be very careful on keeping the momentum, because basically we need a progressive overload. That's why it's so important, in order to grow your muscle, to keep on going like week after week. Remember, is a progressive, slow progression. Progressive slow progression. Okay. By the way, stay consistent for months, not days. Then mind muscle connection. So don't just move the weight. Focus on the technique, on the reps. So focus on the target muscle and how you move the weights. And last but not less important, the stress management. Because remember, the workout is a stress factor, and this will increase your cortisol. And if you have like a poor recovery, basically, this will not make you grow at all. So basically, we should stress our body with the training, and with the life we stress anyway. But remember, high cortisol will reduce your recovery level. So train in a wise way, not too much, not too little, but even the life, like, keep it balanced about the stress, because this will reduce the muscle growth. Okay, let's go straight away in the training factors that drive the muscle growth in natural athlete. So as we said, we have the progressive overload. That is probably the core KPI, because we want to progress over time. This can be done with 2.55% increase when you hit the top range with a good form. So for example, your rep range is, I don't know, 6 to 8, for example, or 6 to 10, doesn't matter. You reach 10, for example, bench press. Let's take some specific lift. Bench press, 100 kgs. You reach 10 reps with 100 kgs. Well, if you're a beginner, this is not real, but that's okay. So let's consider you do 100 kgs bench press, 6 to 10 reps. You reach 10 reps, then you can add 2.55% load. What does it mean? That you go to 102.5 or 105. I would suggest 102.5, and then you restart until you reach the 10 reps again, and then you increase over time. If load starts, you can increase the total volume, for example, increasing the sets or yeah, the reps in a different way, because maybe you cannot lift more weight, but you can reach, for example, 12 kgs, the 12 reps, for example. But focus on the weight first, then on the set, on the reps, and then on the sets, let's say. Track everything like the nutrition, because the data are so important. But what is the optimal training volume? So we said before that the best range is basically 10 to 20 sets. Why these sets? Because basically the science show that yeah, some people can do more, some people can do less, but this is the sweet spot. This is one of my old notes that I did, but this is totally wrong, because this is based on theoretical factors. Why? Because yeah, beginners will grow definitely with 10-12 reps, 10-12 sets, because they're not used to lift weights basically. So science wise, this is the best for them, doing just few sets, and you can do that, you can progress. But what I would say is that beginners have not quality sets. What does it mean? That they lift, but they're not conscious of what they do. So maybe they may require more sets, even because the intensity of those sets normally is much lower. So don't forget this. Intermediate people, science-based, should do like 12-18 sets, let's say, and advanced can push a bit higher, but science-based should be the opposite basically, because basically their sets are more with more quality. They do like more qualitative sets, and that's why they should do a bit less. That's why I said this is kind of wrong. These are my old notes from what I studied, but well, realistically this is kind of the opposite. So yeah, so more advanced you are, more the set has quality, let's say, so you feel more and is more efficient. This is so important. Then with this volume, what you need to do, so spread this volume across 2-3 sessions per week for the same muscle, because an higher frequency means better quality set. What does it mean? This means that basically when you have like let's say 20 sets, you can do that in one session. That's why one session per week, 2-3 sessions per week. You can do 20 sets in one session, but those sets will not be so qualitative, because after, I don't know, 10 sets, basically your muscle will be so tired that the other sets will be like shit, literally. So that's why it's good to spread those volume across 2 to 3 sessions per week. Why 3? Because sometimes you can do full body, this kind of stuff. What I do normally is 2 sessions per week for the same muscle. Then reps and intensity. So in terms of reps, what we want is to go 6 to 12, that is the sweet spot for hypertrophy. 4 to 6, strength biased. Let's say that lower reps will lead to more strength focused training. Yeah, but of course this is still important in order to muscle growth, because the muscle growth is even related to the strength. Then you can do 12-20 reps for something that is called metabolic stress. For example, some isolation muscle. For example, I don't know, you can do like small exercises that are less difficult in terms of lifting, that they can do like with more reps and less stressor over there. If you do 12-20 reps of the compound lifting, this is not good though. So I would say focus on those reps for hypertrophy, those reps for the strength, and those reps like the last exercise, like an isolation muscle. And what is the rear? Rear is the reps in reserve. So basically we need to reach like a closer gap to the failure. What does it mean? Let's say you need to lift 100 kgs on the bench press. Well, the failure is when you don't have any more, like you get stuck with the bar. And what we want is not to reach the failure actually, but to stay like 1 to 2 reps from the failure. And in case of isolation muscle, for example, when we do the pectoral flies, we can go like or to the failure or very close to the failure, because it's different and less stressful as well. So remember this. Then exercise selection. Basically what we want is that this is like these are definitely my old notes that I was putting compounds like main exercises, but over time I realized that compounds exercise, yes, are kind of fundamental but not really, so you can even grow with normal exercise, don't focus on compounds only. But this is what I was doing at the beginning, so 70 to 80% of volume, like bench press, squat, deadlift, overhead press, pull-ups, rows, this kind of stuff. Why? Because basically they are very good in terms of muscle recruitment, because they are compound exercises, so they will activate different muscles, and especially if you're a beginner, this will lead to a very quick growth, to be honest. But over time you will realize that you will go for simple exercise or machine-based exercises that are still good. But of course, these are good even for the mental component, because you will see how quickly your strength will rise, and this will motivate you even to go more and more to the gym, because you will feel much stronger. You will say like, oh, I'm getting so much strength, this kind of stuff, and this give you an extra motivation, and ultimately on the long-term progression, let's say, because you will go with more pleasure to the gym, you will enjoy much more, let's say. Yeah. Then isolation muscle, 20-30% to the target, like cars, lateral raises, like cars, like secondary exercises. And what you want to do is like rotate like 2-3 variations per muscle group every 8 to 12 weeks. So yeah, I know that it's very common to change the plan every month, but this doesn't make any sense, to be honest. So you can keep like the same plan for 8-12 weeks and rotate like 2-3 variation for the muscle group. Let's say you change a couple of exercises over time. Tempo and execution. So remember, the eccentric part, so the negative part, is so important. So in this phase, go very slow, because you can control better the weight, and this is so important even for the muscle growth. I know so many people focus just on the concentric part, so the part where you, let's say, you put the effort, but even the eccentric part is so important. So focus on that. And don't rush the reps, because the muscle grows from tension, not ego. Then periodization, yeah, as we said before, 8 to 12 week progression block, because we want to increase the weight, the total weight or the volume. Then you can do like a deload week, like a week or two where your volume is very low in order to rest. Then you can restart. In fact, rinse and repeat, like quarterly business review. The key frequency though should be, in my opinion, 2 per muscle group per week, because in this case is, as I said before, is better for stimulation through the quality sets, because if you do the same amount of sets once a week, basically this will lead to a less qualitative sets and over time to less growth. So yeah, an example can be like upper lower 4 times, like upper lower, or push pull legs like 6 days a week. What I do normally is not upper lower, not push pull legs, but I split like my exercises. For example, I do chest and biceps on Monday, then I do Tuesday, for example, shoulders and back, or legs and triceps. So this is my split basically, and then I repeat twice a week, but very quick workout. I'm not focusing on this, but yeah, this is a good way. But you can use any split, just maybe increase the frequency, because this can be good. So over time, what you want is to train each muscle twice a week, 10-20 sets total, mainly compound, I would say, and progress the weight and the volume over time, and just stop 1-2 reps before failure on compounds, and well, you can push the isolation movements to the failure. This is like probably the simplest recipe in order to lead to the muscle growth. And that said, I will show in the next videos, probably in the future, basically all the study that I will do, because these are my old notes. But what I want to do is take everything that I studied and restudy it again and show to you on my channel. So feel free to subscribe because you can enjoy this kind of stuff. See you later. Actually, I was forgetting, I will put everything together in my community that I reopen right now. So feel free to subscribe to the community, because over there you will find everything organized and can be very useful. So you can work out and improve by yourself totally for free. So the link will be in bio, in the description. Yeah. See you.